Blog Talk Radio.
What should be done? I wonder what everybody thinks should be done. Why don't you post that on the Facebook page, Cosmic Voice. If you need a member, you can't post, but you join up, it's easy. A famous person, famous man once said, a person who gives up rights for security deserves neither. Hello, Ben. Good old Fat Franklin got it right. What are the limits? Any? Now, you got to really, have your head screwed on straight, really keep your ear to the ground in order to catch up and come together with this stuff. Ellie Mistel, and I really like this article. She really lays it on the line. Thank you. This is excellent. The coronavirus will test whether we have learned to protect rights during an emergency. Now, guess what? Think about it. How many rights have been suspended? Think about that very carefully. Do we exchange fundamental rights for security, racially profiling people, whether they're Muslims or whatever, suspend habeas corpus for the people detained at Guantanamo Bay? Well, those dingleberries down there are convicts, Ellie. I'm sorry, but they deserve to be there. And, yeah, habeas corpus, kiss the Watusi on that one. Rights and liberties are extremely hard to claw back. Now, we had a thing called the Emancipation Proclamation, and the only thing it did was turn hungry people out into the wilderness, out into the field, 90% of the time. Not cool. Look at the establishment of warrantless surveillance under Section 215 of the Patriot Act. Well, that ain't near as bad as them saying we don't need a warrant to break down your front door and come in and take you out, kicking, screaming, or otherwise. The provision has been fought by civil liberties organizations for nearly 2 decades. That's 20 years. And it was finally due to expire March 15th of this year. But because of, wait for it, the coronavirus. Oh, we got another excuse. Congress agreed to extend the provision a few months while the Senate works to pass freshly titled USA Freedom Authorization Act of 2020. If passed, it will continue the kind of warrantless surveillance, data collection that Congress initially sanctioned as an emergency reaction to 9/11. Oh, my goodness. Imagine that. You've heard that thing, keep us safe. Well, I'm not going to lie. I would absolutely sacrifice some liberty, and this is where you're screwing up, to keep my family safe from the virus. Well, you might think in terms of things that go bang real loud. After 9/11, the deepest threat to our liberties might not be the suspension of some of our public rights, but rather the enhancement of state surveillance of our private lives. Ooh, leaked documents. Customs and Border Protection Agency has an emergency plan in place that would allow the government to indefinitely track and even detain people re-entering the country from abroad. Well, that's interesting. How are you going to do that? If, and it's a big if this power is ever exercised, it would probably never be stuffed back into Pandora's box. Oh, yeah. You got phones that collect valuable data, help track and monitor the spread of the virus and all that happy shit. Then you got that lovely word, quarantines. Ooh. Mark Zuckerberg, Jeff Bezos, Christopher Wray, and Lucifer 2.0 probably already know too much about my damn life. Thank you. Sunset provisions, any measure, and this is what we need to do with emergency laws. Sunset provisions, any measure we enact or require as part of our coronavirus response must come with a mandatory provision stating that the law will lapse after a fixed period. No extensions, no reauthorizations, and no subjective determination of when the emergency has passed. The technology from the old Mission Impossible television show This app, if you choose to accept it, will self-destruct in 2 weeks. She hit on everything just about. She didn't miss much of nothing. And I really love this article. I really do. I'm not going through the magazines in toto because there are things to say about it. Here's one of them. The age-old argument of for your safety no longer is valid. Why? Well, it's pretty simple. And it's been stipulated and stated by several people. I mentioned one of the doctors from France who has a cure. Now, what's interesting is the quinine element. What's quinine? Well, it's a funny little naturally occurring element, mineral, whatever you want to call that sucker, that destroys the coronavirus. Quinine was approved in the 50s and used from the 30s. Before it wasn't sanctioned by anybody official. It just was used because it worked. Now you got the problem. The FDA and CDC thinks the preventable deaths are just fine. You get to wait until we think it's cool to put this up. Really? We've got to check its safety. Remember I told you for your safety no longer is valid? Well, here you go. They think it's fine to kill people. Oh, geez. Anyway, time is a very exacting thing. Refusing to wait. You don't wait for anything or anybody. It just bumps along. Most worldwide are watching everything go in the toilet, while those who could fix this mess say we need to wait even longer. Lord have mercy. How many dead people does it take? From what I've been seeing, and I get a lot of news from all over the world, the population of our world will no longer wait or take it. We got a government edict. Well, you know where you can stuck it? Where the sun don't shine. There are protests worldwide, and the WHO, World Health Organization, thinks being cute is just fine, just as fine as deaths from their procrastination. We can give you something to sit on. How about we take the head of the WHO and put him in with Big Bubba? I think that's where he belongs. He wants to find out how it feels. That'd give him a good... Oh, and guess what? There's more. Will we recognize our very different world we're moving into? Will we? Well, that was asked in an editor's letter by the managing editor of The Week. This is April 17th this year. Trouble recognizing the world it is taking us into? Very probably. Now, people have turned away from deities, and I include each and every last one of them. And the reason I do, they've been doing this for about 50 years, give or take. Slow but sure and growing as time goes on. Turning away from deities. I ain't going to church. Forget you. That. Do nothing. Yeah. Turn away from deities that do nothing to drugs, alcohol, guns, and the real freedom we are supposed to have. They're beginning to demand it. Protests all over this country, all over the world. People are saying, hey, enough playing games with our lives and maybe killing us in the process. Turn it loose. Well, there's a problem with all this, and I have led you down a permost path. But I better define the condition that follows ignoring we, the people. Now, this happened a couple times in our past, and it wasn't pretty. I can think of one place that was going to play games with the voters' ballots, and some veterans with guns took the friggin' ballots, took the ballot box, where everything's in, and held it for ransom. They wouldn't give it up, wouldn't give it back, and shoot anybody that gets too close, literally. It was an interesting gunfight. That's only one. One time, a certain superpower ignored we the people, and we decided that was enough of that. Plus, this is a lovely one. I'll get to this toward the end of the show, but they want to take your guns. Give up your musket. How the hell am I supposed to put meat on the table? Let's get into the definition. Now, the dates that you find in dictionaries are simply the dates, general dates, where the use of a word or phrase became commonplace. In this case, it goes back a ways, quite a long ways, better part of 500 years. In 1539, it got used commonly in the Greek. And the word is anarchy. 1, absence of government. Well, are you doing something or what's going on? A state of lawlessness or political disorder due to the absence of government authority? Well, they ain't doing squat as far as I can see right now. Oh, and I heard a nice little rumor on the internet. It seems that if you owe debts, the banks are absconding with your friggin' relief money. Now, I don't think that's part of the deal. From what I get, that money is supposed to make sure you got some groceries, toilet paper if you can find it. I mean, there's a lot of anyway. C, a utopian society of individuals who enjoy complete freedom without government. Well, I don't think it'd be a complete freedom, but definitely without government. That's what anarchy is. 2A, absence or denial of any authority or established order. Then you got B, absence of order, disorder. Now, that's the definitions that come from the dictionary, Webster's. And if you take a close look at what I just stipulated, people are tired of waiting. They just are not interested in, you get to wait to die. We're not sure when. When your nose starts running and your butt starts running, you're in trouble. We the people are considering a new government very seriously. Now, I don't necessarily mean that they're going to take the present one out and install something different. I'm talking about going in with a meat cleaver and rightly dividing the horse hockey that no longer applies, never did. You got to deal with agencies. Who in the hell said that? So, considering a new government very seriously. And the problem is this. Because of the intensity of what's going on, here's what you got. This may very well be the start of Civil War II. Now, I have tried to stay away from violence in terms of that sort of thing, and I'm not in charge. I wish I was, but you never know. The message is very clear. Stated at any time, officials, and it don't matter what level you're at, dang it, come here, you. Do not do their job, and that's an easy out on what we're looking at. The job falls to we the people. That's in the Constitution. Go look it up if you don't believe me. And it's very well stated. And no, we don't have amendments on that part. And no, we don't have exceptions from courts and all that other happy horse hockey. We might call the Supreme Court supreme. There's a problem with that. It does not have the right to legislate or create new laws or, among other things, play games with what's stipulated in the Constitution, let alone laws. Well, the time has come to use whatever power to mandate quinine for everyone. Distribute tonic water now. Come on, federal government. Come on, state government. quit tippy-toeing around the FDA and CDC, kissing them on the Watusi because they are the agency. You know what they can tell you what? How about stick it? And here's why. People are dying. Why? Well, if you got a cure, just what in the hell, or why in the hell, isn't it being put out? Why isn't it being distributed to everybody? Now, I've tasted tonic water, and I tell you, it's kind of funky. When I was in Vietnam, oh, yeah, wonderful place. The military has very strange ideas as to camping trips where the natives shoot at you and shit. I mean, it just wasn't all that much fun, but then it wasn't impossible. Now, people are dying. Hello. We're still waiting on the test to come in. Dude, how about stick that and give them some quinine water and see how they do? That's what that research doctor in France did. And guess what? Only one person did not get immediately better. Ooh, they might be the poor. These are people that are dying. They might be the poor or old or others. What matters is not preventing it when you can. That's what matters. And the people are tired of this horse hockey. You gotta wait. What, for your donut butt to get up off of the chair that looks like a donut because you've accumulated donuts on your butt? Come on. The horse hockey. Here we go with the fun, real fun. Think about opening things up. The horse hockey is not wiping out this enemy before opening the gates. It's ridiculous. Ain't nobody in their right mind who has, say, a bunch of rabid dogs after them. You gonna open the gate? Think about it. That's basically what they're talking about doing. Well, let's bump it up a notch. Our elected officials took a recess. Do you realize that's a violation of oath of office when there's an emergency involved? Think about it. Do you realize that they can also be held accountable on a felonious level for doing that? I don't think they do. They wouldn't have gone. But all in all, it's real simple. It shows how much they care. Now, don't it? It's not impossible to pick all this stuff out, pick all this stuff up. Democrats have stipulated Pelosi's Christmas list. I covered some of this particular magazine the last time around. By the end of April, well, we got 2 weeks. That's pretty much what it is from today. Now, here's what's going on. The hungry will take action before getting just a bailout. The bailouts are coming. Well, really? So what? What does it mean if somebody has the right, because you owe debts, to take a relief fund from you? That's the same thing as taking Social Security or your VA benefits or your health care from you without cause, just doing it because they can. CNN, South Korea testing about 10K people a day. Well, so what? South Korea has been on average testing 12,000 patients a day. My. About as many as the U.S. has managed to test over the last 2 weeks. Well, Los Angeles Times said that by March 14th, that was a few days ago, that they will have tested a lot less here than anywhere else. Think about the President Moon had tested 261,000 plus people. They got drive-through testing. It's quick, creative, innovative, free, and protective for all. Telephone interviewing. You don't feel good. What's wrong with you? Well, I ate some sliders, and then I followed that with a plate of nachos, and my gut ain't acted right since. The longer the delay, the greater the mortality. The public health response becomes much more difficult. Slow pace of rolling out testing. Screw testing. Quinine, you dingleberries. Quinine. Yeah, I covered this, except for Ellie. Ellie Mistel, you have my greatest admiration in terms of your putting out the truth. A little bit more current. The editor's level. Trouble recognizes the world is taking us into, and that's all of this horse hockey. Not just one little part, all of it. There are not, just mount them at hope, distancing is working. Distancing ain't working. Not the way it's supposed to. Who says? Yeah, right. Wisconsin, can democracy survive the pandemic? And I'm going to put this to everybody, every state. Maybe. It is not a sure thing. Now, there's one nice thing about all this. Stillness. After seismologists report a sharp reduction in the ambient seismic noise of Earth's crust because of a major drop in car, truck, and train traffic and other human activity. Oh, that means we're not going to be having as many earthquakes. That's exactly what that means. Defied anti-government actions as some lawmakers defied Governor Brad Little's stay-at-home order this week. Think about it. This is April 17th. That was like yesterday. Bernie, oh boy, Bernie quit again. How many times is he going to? Oh, I didn't quit, really. Come back, huh? 5G conspiracy theory. It ain't a conspiracy theory, guys. And this is from the UK. They're proving it, that it activates certain portions of chemical structures that you have within your system. If that happens to be coronavirus, they don't give a shit. If they cared, they wouldn't go on vacation while people are dying because they have a problem taking any kind of definitive action. Vienna is open for business. St. Petersburg, U.S. blacklists racists. U.S. has, for the first time, designated a white supremacist group as a global terrorist organization, slapped the label and sanctions on the St. Petersburg-based Russian imperial movement. There you go. It's beginning to be defined. Now, the problem with getting things done is because we don't have enough people that got the balls to do something. Oh, Beijing, domestic violence surges. Ooh. United Nations is calling for urgent action to combat a global rise in domestic violence during the coronavirus lockdown. Now, it would probably drive you crazy, but yeah, I think it probably domestic violence. I wonder if it's against their teenagers because they don't know how to act right or what. South Korea's coronavirus success with a question mark. Not yet. Why? They haven't killed the virus. First, you got to take the enemy out. If you go open the doors, you take the enemy out. The poor are more likely to die. This is from New York Times. Equal opportunity killer. Erasing differences in class, wealth, and race. Ooh-wee. The statistical evidence shows that 19 is aimed like a heat-seeking missile toward the poor, African Americans, and Hispanics. Oof. This is Milwaukee, Wisconsin. So there is something in there that's going after the people that they want to get rid of. Why? Oh, you guys are sucking up money we need to put in our pocket. Yeah, I said it. Accidentally released of the virus? Really? Models are designed to be wrong. Bullshit. They never modeled anything that had anything to do with any of this. And we keep turning pages. Germany winning the war against 19? Not without a cure. Quinine, yeah, quinine. Yeah, I know, I sound like a parrot that's got stuck. Well, Ecuador, coronavirus warning for Latin America. Spread the fear. fear porn against something that is not as deadly as the flu. Think about that very carefully. Oh, and then when we got a couple of other false negatives. America's food banks are seeing overwhelming demand with lines of a mile or more as unemployed Americans scramble for something to eat. Meanwhile, 2/3 of food banks are seeing diminished donations as supermarkets have little to no surplus inventory to contribute. But alcohol and cannabis sales are soaring, up 55%. Then you got Flight Attendant Union. The union has asked the Department of Transportation to shut down all leisure air travel. Masks. Why you should wear one? Well, the World Health Organization says it don't make no damn difference, and that's partially true. But they come up with this fear porn of why you should wear one. Remember, I said fear porn. Kushner, why is he in charge? Why not? Isolation, a high price of safety, and it ain't safe. The pandemic is forcing human species and our brains to do the opposite of what we've learned to do over millennia in order to survive. And that's human contact. Ooh, yeah. Ooh, platforms profit from pandemic. Yeah, right. You got Zoom and all these others out there that are just eating things up. Now, they did come up with a neat one here. This comes from Germany. Scientists say they have identified a bacterium that feeds on polyurethane. Well, let's make up a shitload of it and dump it in the ocean. Then we won't have to go get out there in snorkels and rake the shit up. Oh, and they got a picture in these jokes. They got a picture of Trump tossing the toilet paper rolls off the White House balcony. We're all Puerto Rico now. And you got another one. You wouldn't send a Marine to the front line without the best protection. Why would you do that with our healthcare workers? Yeah, good question. Then you got the fun and games. And this is where the official bureaucracy steps on people. Chinese doctor punished for trying to warn about the coronavirus. Meanwhile, in the U.S., a captain was relieved, punished for warning about the coronavirus. Dude, everybody's getting infected and getting sick, and I could use some help with this. Nah, you're fired. Oh, boy. Farmers markets. Green oasis in a time of trouble. They're closed. All of them. All of this stuff is closed in the U.S. How the hell are you going to enjoy this or that or the other thing if there isn't any? It's like it becomes hard on people when there ain't no leaves on the trees and they ain't got no toilet paper. That can be a disaster. Facing the spring of no proms, no graduations. It's closed. Why are we allowing these people, that's the CDC and the FDA, to play games with our lives? Oil. Oh, boy. No halt to global price war. Well, they made an agreement, but glut is a problem because there's no demand. My. Now, 3M wanted to import masks from China, and China is making it impossible to export for the import to the United States of anything. Think about that very carefully. The world's richest 500 people lost a combined $805 billion in the global pandemic. Amazon's founder, Jeff Bezos, is one of the 82 people on the list who is making money. Imagine that. Nevada, 206,000 casino workers have been furloughed or laid off. They're shutting down Vegas. U.S. healthcare job systems. Now, this is critical, and this is really something to pay attention to. The U.S. healthcare system cut 42,500 jobs, largely in medical offices. Now, you're going to have these people shuffling papers and putting things where they go so that somebody that has arms isn't shown to not have any. Shares of Guinness have fallen 89% to 67 cents a share. Ooh. The fun is not. This is. I mean. Now here's another one. Property. Who should get a break on the rent? Everyone. Why? Because the owner is getting a break on his investment in the property. That's why. And I say it again, some people got debts, and those debts are being satisfied by taking their emergency funds. Think about it. Mark Twain didn't show up as a direct deposit. That tells you ain't getting any. Travel. A global industry frozen in place. It's closed. They're not going to allow this. They're not going to allow anything of any value to continue without permission. Who is giving them permission? Well, I'd say it's the FDA and CDC. Oh, let's get into another magazine. I done went through a whole magazine, and I got this one marked pretty well. You're going to like this. I keep seeing this boy's face on the friggin' TV, and all he's doing is squealing like a stuck pig or crying like one of those poor snowflakes that needs to find a coloring book in a safe corner to hide in, begging the Fed for help. Okay, how about all them empty hospitals? You want to play that game? You heard what I said. Then you got Fauci, 79-year-old physician. It says he's risen to the occasion. No, he didn't. He has not either. He's continuing the combination of fear porn I've been talking about. Now, public policy. Oh, I love this one. This one is direct and to the point. First and foremost, defeat the virus. Well, guess what, guys? It ain't happening. Why? Because they're not. President Trump, I'm going to lay this one at your feet. Here's how it is. Tell the CDC and the FDA to get the hell out of the way and release quinine. It doesn't matter if it's tonic water or what it is. Get it out there to everybody. And do it now. You want to open up early? What happens if there ain't no virus? Very simple. There's no concern about opening it up. If President Trump is right that the fight against the coronavirus is the equivalent of war, we need to focus first and foremost on defeating the enemy. Just like I said, it's not difficult once you get your head around it. Now, relief from Congress. No relief. Pelosi and the Dems are holding it all up, trying to enable the temporary shutdown of much of the economy with the least human damage. That's a lie. Congressional Democrats did not rise to the occasion. The provisions to support business, small and large, are especially valuable. People need that check, too. So whomever the debt collectors and asinine financial institutions that are going along with taking that money, won't you just close up and go home? The support for business, the relief for individuals, and the expansion of medical capacity are all urgent matters. I'm telling you, hungry people are dangerous, and it's getting to that New York City in crisis. They're cleaning it out, man. Most people don't get that part. Old people are in the way, sucking up the gross domestic product and all that happy, and we can't have that. Ooh, now, the immoral equivalent of war. Innovation is needed, not economic coercion. Well, the economic coercion is happening when these people take money from people, especially if it's emergency funding for groceries. Hello? You guys best pay attention or I will end up seeing armed people at your door. Robert Higgs argued long ago that wars in the 20th century led regularly to permanent expansions of governments. 40% of GDP. Whereas in 1910, it was about 10%. And war is the hobby of kings and the very wealthy. Very simple, not complicated. Sometimes, and these are wars that Henry V, let's see, King, Queen, William, and Mary King George III sometimes got into trouble. A large portion of private British GDP to do so. When it started getting expensive, it stopped. The press ganged up on them. That's press gangs, people that always agree to stuff that isn't true. Well, was strange about the 20th century was that wars were used as excuses to implement the bizarre ideas of European professors and the revolutionaries. Now, I've tried to stay out of revolution, but I'm not going to be able to do that from what I'm beginning to see. Wilson's sharp extension of government control in the economy in 1917-18, all the while using his propaganda machine run by the brilliant George Creel to suppress news of the Spanish influenza. Now, who's been suppressing that? Hello, China. You're guilty. And yes, there's proof out there, whether you like it or not. Socialism should therefore be called coercionism. Sometimes, really, what the government coerces us to do is a swell idea, such as coercing parents to inoculate their children against measles. Oh, getting their shots when the protection from the flu doesn't work. When the protection from the flu doesn't work, as for many thousands annually, it doesn't. There isn't anything more that either self-protection or an activist government can do about it. Get over yourself. Now, the problem was the coronavirus. The other problem is the CDC and FDA did not jump on the problem. They stopped or cock-blocked the president from taking the correct action necessary to take care of it. If you want a picture of the future, imagine a boot stamping on a human face forever. Ooh, ain't that wonderful? Lovely, huh? The costs, the social costs of this problem is simple. It's extraordinarily large. And I'll get into that here in a bit. They're apt to be long-lasting, hard to measure, and heavy. A major part of the big picture of historic change and development. And this is Epidemics in Society. It's a book. It changes society. If history is a guide, not for the better, not for the better. Oh, deserted. No pedestrians or automobiles clogging New York's Fifth Avenue. Yeah, I've seen the pictures. You've probably seen them on varying news channels if you go to the right ones that show something. Social distance doesn't make you a hermit. You want to bet? Well, schools and restaurants closed, and a huge swath of the workforce stuck at home, either working remotely or not working at all. Usually quiet and empty neighborhoods are suddenly bustling. Ooh, now what does that mean? That means that people are going, F you, going out anyway. No one would wish for neighborhoods revival at the cost of a deadly plague and ruined economy. This is true. This is why you defeat the enemy before it gets the chance. Gulf Coast populations with lower levels of social capital experience disproportionate adverse mental health consequences from things like Hurricane Katrina. Well, social structures are not as easily repairable as things have been in the past. America can survive the economic depression. We've done it before. Now, how we overcome a social capital depression remains to be seen. Talking about a world that's will be a little bit different. What drugs can do and not. The role of pharmaceuticals in combating the pandemic. Well, how about quinine? It's natural. How about we put it out for everybody, whether the CDC or FDA likes it or not? How much is a life worth? Ask the Dems and Pelosi about her Christmas list and the fact that they went on vacation. Oh, we're overreacting, shutting down too much economic activity. Life is priceless, but apparently the Dems don't think that lives are very important. How to act amid such uncertainty might be the hardest question of all. I'm going to suggest everybody and their mother-in-law get organized. Start you a phone tree. Get together with people that are like-minded or close to it, or see that the problems are not going to be answered anytime soon, and take action. A disease spread by the rich. Well, this whole thing is is BS, socialism, and Green New Deal. That's all this mother is. I went through and marked the shit out of a bunch of it. And I don't see reading it as something that is going to be of any real import. You're not quite yet getting the picture, but what happens? What happens in terms of wants and needs? Oh, restoring America's commercial sea power. That's simple. Healthy sailors that don't have the virus. Here we go. Damn the crisis Congress. What is the legislature's job in a national emergency? That is very, very obviously that they are supposed to take care of the problems and not go home on vacation until you got this sucker under control. My. Here's the deal. We have the serious problem of not being able to recognize just what the hell the problems are. Well, what do? Carry on? Think about it. Well, come on. Let's get this thing on the road here. The crisis, Congress. Well, my. The Dems are objecting to their jobs, protecting the people. Let's try dumping Pelosi and her Christmas list in the toilet. Now, what is the legislature's job in a national emergency? Well, I hate to tell you, but the House has not been doing their duty since 2016. Congress responded swiftly. No, slowly. 1, 2, and 3 bills. 3 bills later. I think about this. Shutdown is required. Oh, my God. Support state, federal, private efforts to fight the disease. Well, no, you guys ain't fighting squat. You're waving your fly swatter around trying to look good. Hello? Does that sound like a certain celebrity Como talking trash? As soon as the third bill was enacted, Congress dashed out of town and left itself few options for remaining engaged. Well, you assholes, guess what? The weakness and vices of modern Congress have been on display for quite some time. You just made it obvious that you don't give a shit if people die. Well, what do you do when the government becomes oppressive through refusal to work? Well, what happens is that you end up with dead people. Maybe we ought to deliver the dead people. And I don't mean in body bags. Oh, you can transport them in body bags. Dump them out in Pelosi's front yard. You want to get the message across? Maybe. And I don't know that she's bright enough to catch it, but maybe. Oversight, time-wasting bullshit. Declare an emergency that permits on a temporary basis some remote legislative work. That could have been done. They're too stupid to do it. To do its part in the crisis, any kind, whether it's war or whatever it is, Congress must remain engaged in working. That means you get to stay in D.C., even though people have told you that it might be a good idea for you to get the hell out of town. Get out of Dodge. You don't want to catch that stuff. And then they got another one here. The great non-freak-out. Well, the freak-out's still possible, depending on how hungry people get and how quickly they get there. Americans were ready by gadget and by character. No, we weren't. Why? Because we have a bureaucracy that says, I'm in charge. So far, the only mass hysteria has been that some people got nervous about their toilet paper supply. Really? Is that why gun sales and ammunition sales went through the roof, some 5 times normal? Most total lack of public freakouts suggested they're all going to be fine. You ain't going to be fine. You've lost, we have lost 30% for starters. 30% gone. sending their assistant out for hydroxychloroquine. Oh, maybe that'd work. Maybe. Sharing and posting. You won't believe what happened next. Content on our Facebook wall. The idea of being touched by a virus that came from someone with whom we have the thinnest connections. We've been living that way since AOL.com, and that's forever. Sound familiar? Called Reboot. Americans are ready. No, they ain't. The average American, none of this seems like something to get hysterical about. Well, it's gone over that limitation already. Now, here's a guy that I quoted before. If I'd known this was coming, I would have liquidated all my assets and buried them in the backyard. My God, go light on the milk. Toilet paper consumption is critical. Be careful. And the power was out. Oh, boy. Civilization. And what we expect of it had come through again. Oh, boy. If we're doing better than death and destruction, he's for it. I am too. Now, book in the arts. Conservatives and geopolitical change. Now, there's some fun and games here that ain't nice. And I hate to tell you, but some of the changes made were made by a dude by the name of Kissinger. And that boy's a friggin' traitor. Yeah, that's right, you old fat bastard. You're a traitor. Conservatives face a weakening of the domestic order at the same time that the return of great power competition threatens international order. There ain't any right now. Ain't no trade. It's not weakening. It's getting stronger. Why? People are looking at protecting what they got and keeping themselves and their other people safe. People they care about. Western intellectuals, communist mystic. Ooh, why did intelligent people who lived in free countries worship at the altar of despotic states? Well, my. Nuremberg trials showed the British fascists who lure for communism for educated Westerners. You ain't very educated if you go for that shit. Why do I say that? Take a look at Venezuela. There is a real serious problem coming, and it's not going to be good. And here's another one. Texas Monthly, Bum Steer Awards. Well, until you guys get off your ass, or rather come back to D.C. like you're supposed to stay during a really serious problem. We know what that's worth. Now, I have stipulated this many times, whenever any official, and it can be a group of them, doesn't matter, refuses to do their job for whatever excuse, the job then falls to we the people. Oh, boy. The day that many Americans realized that things on our shores were getting real, and we would be staying home for a long, long time. I don't think so. At press time, it's scary out there. This is from April 20, and this is the 18th, so this thing's up to date. Think about it very, very seriously. At the moment, at press time, it's scary out there. Remember I talked to you about a tea kettle that was beginning to make rumbly noises? Let's face it. Simple, glorious, and elegant. Let's face it. You knew this was coming. No, we didn't know it was coming, not to this extent. Roll of toilet paper and, of course, Nintendo. I doubted you before. Maligned video game system. Now you have my grudging respect. Why? Well, the kids are no longer losing their minds, so I have to scrape them off the ceiling. Pretty simple. Not complicated. Now let's turn to the basic right of self-defense. Each and every individual has that basic right. Some people ain't got the guts to pull the trigger. Some people ain't got the guts to buy a trigger in the first place. Well, gun owners burn national red flag deal to the ground. Huge win for Second Amendment as gun registration and confiscation fail in Congress. You damn straight it does. And it gets even better. I mean, you got Pelosi, House Speaker Nancy Pelosi, Democrat, California. Oh, you ought to see her district. Talk about a garbage dump. Launched the failed impeachment inquiry, which effectively stalled any gun control legislation from moving forward. She's a life failure. The only place she can be of any kind of success is lifetime service. Yeah. Barr openly worked to craft red flag universal gun registration deals on Capitol Hill. Now this, to me, puts a glob of crap right between Barr's eyes. I had a lot of respect for the guy until I found out about that. He's trying to take our shit away from us. Well, how about we get rid of him if he's not going to do the job? And there's a problem with it. There is a real serious problem with it, and that is that the boy does not understand exactly what it takes in order to make sure that the Constitution is upheld. Ooh. Red flag gun confiscation bites the dust in Arizona. Ooh. Then you got Florida. They killed it. Leading the charge for constitutional carry. Now, constitutional carry means the Second Amendment with restrictions. Now, everybody needs to understand that. And the NAGR, National Association of Gun Rights, succeeded in getting constitutional carry bills filed in Alabama, Indiana, Louisiana, Florida, and Tennessee in 2020. They're working on it. They're trying to make it. They're trying to put things into a position exactly, and I mean exactly, so that we have the option. You don't got to carry a gun. That's not what this says. Now, so far, I have stayed out of the areas that are sensitive to things of that nature. Some of what's coming ain't going to, very few people are going to like this. They really ain't going to like this. I am not looking to cause problems. However, we have a whole load of people out there causing problems for us. I was told by differing people not to do this or not to do that, and I gave them the finger and did it anyway because it was the right thing to do. I couldn't care less about their problems and whatever their situations might be. I don't care. I hope it costs you everything down to your underwear. My. Now, here's the deal. We get into anarchy. That means that the governmental structure of order and authority goes. Now, think about that very carefully, because the next song talks about some of this. I hope people listen to the words in that song. I hope you're paying attention. We have a serious problem, and that serious problem, as I'm beginning to see it, can only be mentioned in terms of saving the country as we think it should be by starting to organize right now. And let's go at it this way. If you want me to be in charge, tell me. My email address is out there. There's people you know or whatever that would be interesting. Now, I do not have the authority to put out a red light for the militias to be activated. Do not have that authority. However, what I'm looking at expressing is this to each and every last militia that, if you know somebody in a militia, play this for them. Whatever. The problem is simple, because our officials refuse to do their job. It falls to us, we the people. In that context, we are also allowed to do them a number in terms of a straight-up arrest. And A lot of people in the military know what dereliction of duty means. Some people have the idea that it don't apply. Well, guess what? Constitutionally, it says it does. That an oppressive government can be thrown off by we the people. This is why we keep and bear arms. Oh, we got states that say this, that, and the other thing. Let's show up in armored cars with some heavy artillery, okay, 50 calibers, 20 millimeters, and express that they got a choice. Lay down their guns and their badge and face the consequences. I'm at this point, just because I am who I am and what I am. President Trump, this is Saturday. If you got the balls, the guts, and the wherewithal, if you're really the bull in the china shop you say you are, pull the trigger, tell the CDC and the FDA to screw off and put the quinine out for everybody, or tonic water. Make it real. Show me. Prove it. You don't have but just a few days. And no, open it up a little pieces and places and only partially this and all that pansy crap. Don't cut it with a whole bunch of people. A lot of people out there are hungry. And believe me, I've dealt with hungry people. They are the most dangerous people on the planet. You're beginning to get to the point where about 20%, give or take, are getting hungry. Do you realize what that means? It means that people are going to understand what bad company means. Listen to this song and listen to the words. So, how many people can stand watching the bugs crawl on the wall? How many times can you see Sesame Street before you lose your freaking mind? Got to keep them kids occupied or they get funny. Well, there's a simplicity to this, and I played this song before, and I want you to listen to it, but not until I'm done with this. What I'm doing right now, live on the air, is calling for a revolution. Now, we can start this with phone calls, emails, and Twitter, and whatever. I don't care how it gets started. The problem is that the government has proven that it don't give a damn whether we live or die. If that's not an oppressive government, I don't know what the hell is. But I can tell you this, I don't know how many people are out there ready to go. Some of the people in the militias that are hiding because the FBI is after them, well, now, maybe the FBI doesn't have the authority to do what they're doing. Think about that very carefully. Here's, let's see here now. I got two songs I want to play, actually, that really describes things. Let me get this back up here. Everybody out there can hear this. Better get ready to be able to stand up on your own 2 feet. Oh, I know. There's a hell of a bunch of people that did not buy a gun for the reason that I just stipulated, but here it is. They're going around taking guns away from people. They're turning crooks loose that are dangerous. Oh, using the excuse of the virus. Oh, yeah, that's a good excuse, ain't it? Huh? How many dead people does it take for people to realize and understand that their rights are in jeopardy? You get the right to self-defense, period. If, and this is the fun part, the, quote, authorities, unquote, don't have the correct paperwork, let the gunfight begin. Just that simple, nothing complicated about it. So what we're looking at is not necessarily just the normal. Obviously, this ain't normal. We're looking at readjusting some things. If that takes force of arms, so be it. Now, here's the fun part. Hey, military, guess what? You're directly involved with this. And the way you are is in the Constitution, which is what your laws, military laws, are based on. So consequently, what we have to deal with, and that's us. Ooh, royal we, all-inclusive. What we have to deal with is a real serious problem of a combination of improprieties and illegal actions by people that don't understand their obligations in terms of the authority that they have to use. Yeah, think about it. Go look up the Uniform Code of Military Justice. Look it up. It's all in there. You're not necessarily, let's say, subject to the normal civilian type of law, nor the federal type of law. The military justice system is just a little bit different, but very similar. And in that movie, A Few Good Men, did you order the Code Red? You goddamn right I did. Well, what they've done is they're playing Code Red. They're playing Red Flag with business. They're playing Code Red with our rights. And it is not up to me individually to stipulate this, but I strongly suggest that we figure out a way to go about retaining, reinitiating, and re-implementing our rights. And I ain't talking about all the happy crap that they added to the Constitution that don't mean anything. I'm talking about the shit that is meaningful. How many people out there are not eating like they'd like to? How many people out there have got a problem with unemployment? How many people out there have had and think this through very carefully, relief money taken on obligations that are supposed to be suspended? How many people want to put up with that shit? How many people got a gun? If you don't, go get one. I think it's interesting that certain things like liquor stores and gun shops are considered critical entities and are allowed to operate. I don't want to do this. I was hoping things would be taken care of. I have sent direct communication to several people that should have already taken care of business. Obviously, they don't give a shit. Congress, Pelosi and all them libtard Democrats have left town. Oh, that's real cute. You got a place to run and hide? Hey, Pelosi, how about we do this? How about we just stop any and all deliveries of any kind of food, water, etc. to your place? Your address is known. And, oh, don't tell me about this bleeding heart liberal. We got to have open borders to let the poor people in. Hey, look, buttwipe, you call the cops when they started assembling on that little stretch of grass out front of your house. You called the cops and had them removed. Oh, my. Does that make you a blazing hypocrite or what? I think it does. Then there's a little fact. Schumer and a bunch of others are also guilty of a certain constitutional impingements that don't fly. Why don't they fly? Well, simple. Can't violate the Constitution. Just that simple. Now, I've had my say to an extent. Now, I'm going to try to, I would like to have people that know militias and the Grand Army of the Republic and a few of those large groups get in touch. There's ways to do that we can do. We can accomplish things like you would not believe. Oh, my goodness. Now we go to the Facebook page, and I'm going to answer some questions. Churches don't have a First Amendment right to kill everybody. Well, really? What about the government? How many people are subject out there? There's several. Diana says there's several ways to change this for the better. Well, yeah. One of them is for the Fed to order the release of quinine. Tell the FDA and the CDC, go ahead and continue all the tests you want, but don't play too many games. There's a lot of people out here that are not really feeling too good about all the bullshit, and there's a lot of it. Now, I have talked to the ETs extensively. They're waiting to see how this comes out. If everybody's serious about this, then we need to put things together in such a manner that we can implement what everybody else won't. Hello, Barr. Guess what? You're supposed to execute a whole shitload of indictments. Well, let's do the fun part of that. Let's get the ones that are nasty, outspoken, and supposedly the leaders of these socialist, communist nutcases, slap them in jail. Indictment doesn't mean a whole lot unless you put them in jail. And you put them in jail, then it starts getting serious. Oh, I can't do it. The hell you can't. Anybody that's committed any kind of a crime, such as insurrection, etc., can go to be put in jail. Not for their protection, but that might be, to keep them from getting tarred, feathered, and strung up somewhere, like it did in Germany at a time, to call the public officials and strung them up on anything that would hold the body in the air. Think about that. Consider that very carefully. This is in all the states, okay? You cannot play deadly games with we the people. Like I said, the gun sales and ammunition sales are 5 times normal. Think about that very carefully. That's a shitload. The permits, the application for permits is 6 times normal. I'm going to carry Grandpa's gun, but I need a permit. Well, no, you don't need a permit. Now, I want you to consider this very carefully. This is legalities dealing with the constitutional rights you have. Think about the free right to travel. You don't need plates, driver's license, or any of that happy horse shit. They made that up. Oh, the state needs to make some money here, so, let's do a number on the populace. What do you mean the corporation, the United States Incorporated, goes out, makes debts, and then wants us to pay the freight? Well, how about we start reversing that? How about we put the freight for those humongous expenditures on the people who created them? Yeah, at $175,000 a year, it's going to take a while to pay off $1 billion. Yeah, you're going to be in service somewhere, even if as a toilet cleaner or a garbage collector or something, for life. Life. Ooh. You're willing to put us in jail for life? Well, maybe. Or at the point of critical mass. Maybe other people, such as not just me, but a lot of other people, have had enough. If there are people in the militia, okay, and you decide you want to get things running, get things straightened out, and you want to put this in perspective, you're going to end up having to get ourselves together. That's called putting things in a perspective of, boy, Texas is on people's minds. And many opportunities in rural areas. The idea of a job in rural is working on a farm. Oh, and don't tell me the possibilities ain't there. They're there. I haven't done a show with Gail yet. I'm trying to get Bob, send her notification that her YouTube channel's been hacked, and they're trying to delete the videos. We got, not loading. I'm trying to what don't work for you? Brave is not, see, they're trying to shut us down. They don't want to hear this. They do not want to hear this. They don't want this sort of thing coming out. Chrome's not picking it up. Oh, that would seem to tell me that they don't want it out. Well, Google is guilty. How about that one? Stick Chrome where the sun don't shine. I use Firefox for that very reason. Oh, it's a piece of junk. It's not the greatest, but they're updating, and they're making this some sucker come out right. Got it on my cell phone. Paired it to a speaker. Cool. Uh-huh. All right. Yeah, DuckDuckGo. That's cool, Arlene. Search engine. Yeah, well, what you got to consider here is that, think about it. Oh, my goodness. Michelle put a friggin' post up here that is really nice. And it goes back to 2003, just to let everybody know. But anybody that can see this Facebook page, new evidence shows CDC knew since at least 2005. Well, my. The intel on things, edge of revolution. Yeah, that's a good one. I like that, Claudio. The problem we've got is that we have an ongoing fight between what can be done officially and what a lot of people are doing under the covers and behind the scenes. Behind the scenes, they're trying to cut off, shut down, or get rid of anybody that puts out the truth. David Wilcock, you're going to find out the hard way. Yeah, well, David Wilcock said at the same time, why? As a Q are more powerful than ET. Why? Well, because I work in conjunction with them, Jonathan. You probably don't have that concept, but this is getting ready to break loose. The people that run things, okay, upstairs are not willing to compromise their plan, and there's a plan there that it runs in conjunction with what's going on down here. And it's convoluted. Now, I'm not going to out it because it is still sensitive. Put out a video saying, alien social torment will be 3 days of darkness, 3 days of exposure, and lead up to Easter. Well, here, sometimes, like I have done in the past, you get a hold of a future timeline instead of a present timeline, and it doesn't come out as planned. So I give David that... I don't know what you call it. I'll give him that leeway. I would tell those sources to screw off. No, the sources are accurate, Jonathan. The problem, it's just getting old. Well, guess what? I'm calling for a friggin' revolution. I'm not talking about playing games with anybody anymore. It is time, a pastime. Yeah, I'll still use Zello. So long as the internet's up and running, it works. If not, they close it down for 3 days. Everybody's going to be in the dark for 3 days. That 3 days is so that the logistics can be implemented or executed. My email, looking for a while now. Oh, boy. Look at what's going on. If you think it's different, German lawyer criticized lockdown, arrested, taken to a psych ward. Well, they'll do anything, try to tell you you're incompetent, etc. when they implement things like Baker Act or want to play the red flag game. Ooh, you come up as a red flag. I said, really? How about you take that illegal shit and put your little butt down the road a ways? What's that supposed to mean? I'm not honoring a bunch of bullshit. Now, remember the problem with the FISA courts playing games with everybody's rights, specifically the president, and allowing all that horse shit to run? That's what the red flag is. Same crap. And it's crappy. It's stinky. I thought I farted nasty until I run across the red flag. They don't have to have a reason other than a neighbor or somebody, oh, he shoots his gun off his porch. So what? How about screw off? Well, the problem is not so much the complaint as it is that they feel that they have the right to come in and take your guns because you have been adjudicated to be dangerous or menace to society or however you want to go. Hey, guess what? You will follow protocol, and you will follow the rights for me, if you come after me, to defend myself in the same courtroom as the accuser. Now, I don't really care who the accuser might be. It doesn't matter to me. What matters is the illegality. Same as FISA court, secret crap, and the judge, if you can call it that, issues an order for confiscation. Well, there's a problem with that. You can't do that without just compensation. And I guarantee you the Sheriff's Department ain't got that kind of money, first of all. Secondly, you ain't going to pull any of your illegal horse shit on me. Won't work. Yeah, we can have a gunfight if that, come take it if you think you can. One shot at a time is applicable. If you broke the rules before, what's stopping you now? Go for it. Well, abscond with some politicians. No, this needs to be a little more above board than just grabbing somebody. We need to serve paperwork. I have copies of paperwork as needed. And don't play the Q, you're a Q, you got the power, you're in charge. No, that's not quite the way it works. We work in conjunction. Remember that. I'm not going to violate the laws that stipulate how to do things. And there are both universal, all right, and cosmic or whatever you want to call it, laws that govern these things, all right? I'm not going to screw that up, but here's what we're going to do. Here's what needs done. Anybody want to join up and start this? Well, people would like to see me in charge. Let's do it. So, start in Virginia or Michigan. Let's take out take out these commie assholes. Okay, well, I'm not saying Trump's a bad guy. I'm just saying that he needs to go ahead and stomp on some of these things. People supposed to need to start doing some research. Drake's not here to hand feed you. This is true, Shirley. You all need a wake-up pill, acting like spoiled brats. Well, we'll see about that. How many got guns? How many are willing to join up? How many are willing to actually shoot somebody if it's required? Think about that. You should be ashamed of yourselves. Sorry, Drake, if I overstepped. No, you didn't. Meant no disrespect to you. Yeah. Well, I don't take it that way. There is a problem with takes money to buy a gun. Barely got food here and old. Well, I'd be willing to bet you that if you looked around and found some people that have guns, they might be willing to part with one gratis and or for real reasonable price. Barely not got food here. Well, maybe they can tell you $1 a month for life and sell you a gun. I mean, don't come up with the excuses, Linda. Come up with the solutions. Here's the old saying: if you ain't part of the solution, you're part of the problem. Come on now, let's get it together here. Let's see here. Arrest Obama. Yeah, the list goes on and on. We all need a secure kind of comms set up now. There isn't any. Wade, they are listening to all of them. There are a few forms of encryption that we can use that will cause them serious problems. And I mean serious problems. Shoot me then. No, I will not. Here's what we need to do. All of us band together and get our shit together. Well, what does that mean? Well, it means with this this is my last deal, my last run around the block. Come here, you. Come on now. I got one more song to play before I end this. Now, you need to pay attention to it. A lot of people have been activated in the military because they know this is coming. Certain people have informed our president and others that can be trusted. Remember what he said about Pelosi? I'm going to tell you guys for the simple fact that I wanted it to be a secret until it was implemented. Well, listen to this very carefully, because this describes a love relationship very similar to what we got going on if you love our country. I hope you listen carefully to the words. Now, here's the intel. I don't know if you heard about Switzerland and all of the visitors from upstairs. If you hadn't, you might want to check it out. Thousands of ET crafts showing themselves. Turned off their goddamn cloaking devices and said, here I am. Nobody decided to challenge them. Nobody went in with any aircraft or any, military people or any of that crap. Guess who's next? The U.S. We're getting ready to have major visitations for several reasons. Number one, and this is stuff you need to know, we are going to be set up as the shining light on the hill if we got a decent government. Now, a lot of things need to be changed to include a lot of personnel, but it's real simple. Comply or die. You've heard that before. Join or die. You've heard all of that. Don't tread on me. All this happy, if you're not part of the solution, you're part of the problem. Okay, well, let's see how hard and heavy President Trump's foot is if he stomps somebody's neck. Think about that very carefully. And I'm using this as an excuse. Send that to the president if you wish. That's fine. But I'm trying to let everybody know we're going to set this up. And what I need to do is have several people volunteer to coordinate. You need to have military experience, preferably command experience, but military experience, and I'll show you what you need to know. The second part is an underground, and we can use Zello unless they turn off the internet in order to communicate without them being able to catch it. It takes about 2 weeks to decrypt something, and believe me, by that time, the message is stale and stinking. So, number 3, we need all of the militias in each and every state. And even though it's outlawed here in West Virginia, we got them. How about that? Take your law and stick it where the sun don't shine. We ain't going to listen to you. Why? Well, it seems that the federal government and state governments don't give a shit whether we live or die. Oops. Yeah, big oops. That's a royal super-duper oops. You stepped in it. It's up to your eyeballs. Now, people getting hungry and people having serious problems are about to get testy. Some of the people at the car dealership took your emergency funds. Oh, my. Well, now, the bank had to allow that. Think about that very carefully. Maybe we need to reorganize some of the bankers one way or the other, toss them out a window or however it works, whatever it takes. We're at the break point, ladies and gentlemen. The whole of the world, the whole of the planet is about to come unglued. We need to prepare here so that we are not a part of the chaos and horseshit, whether it's anarchical. Oh, boy, there's a collegiate word. That's at least a $3 one. Anarchy is very simple. We no longer abide by what the federal government thinks it is, and they're not in charge. The CDC and the FDA are not in charge of me. Are they in charge of you? Think about it. These are bureaucratic horse manure combines that have been put together in such a manner that the bureaucracy supposedly rules our better existence. Well, our better existence, let them die. It's all right. We don't care about poor people. We don't care about old people. We just want to, what was this, Agenda 21? Well, I can tell you that the cabal is the idiot that got the stuff loose. It wasn't careless handling or any of that crap they're trying to cover it up with. They turned it loose on purpose. No accident, no mitigating circumstances. They just quite simply stepped in it big time. Why? Well, as soon as they opened it, everything stopped. Oh, my God, I got to have my moneymaker running. And they turned a bunch of shit back on so that they could still have their place in the Hamptons or Paris or wherever it is they are located. And this is global. So you have the deep state, you have the dark government, or however you want to look at this, everywhere. You think these people have been sitting around not doing nothing, you're wrong. They've been setting this up for a long time. Population reduction? Well, no. Let's do them a number. Let's organize. There will be a capability far beyond anything anybody's dreamed of. Straightening up the horse manure in terms of, the state can issue a policy and you're legally obligated to follow it. Really? Bend over. I'm going to roll this up and see if it fits where the sun don't shine, dude. That's what kind of answer that is going to be required for the simple fact that people are dying and they want to drag their feet. Congress left D.C. Bullshit. You don't do that under emergency conditions, period. That means any and all of them that we disagree with their existence can be not just removed, but also jailed. That's felonious. That is insurrection. Oops. Everybody needs to do their thing, but do me a favor. Go out there and